Well, now, Amazon yesterday cracked down on the sale of merchandise with the Russian military Z, or as Sarah would say, Z, symbol. Before removing the items, the e-retailer was widely criticised for selling clothing with that insignia. The listings were labelled with titles such as Russian Z symbol, military armed forces, tanks, armour, T-shirt, snappy title. Joining with the head of media at the Institute of Economic Affairs think tank, that is Emily Carver. Emily, thanks so much for your time. I always feel a little bit sorry for big e-retailers when they get, in quotes, caught out like this. They're shifting a lot of product and they sometimes are a little bit behind the curve. Is there a kind of hysteria about this symbol, do you think, or is it legitimate?
Well, I think we all can agree that it's unfortunate that Amazon, such a massive retailer, was hosting this particular seller on their platform. It's true what people were saying, that they were essentially making money off selling T-shirts with this Z symbol on them. And we know now that that symbol is a symbol of support for Russia's assault on Ukraine. So it's completely understandable that people would wish to put pressure on Amazon to remove them. It's certainly not a good look for the tech giant. But as you alluded to, it's worth noting that Amazon, of course, is a marketplace. So therefore, there shouldn't necessarily be a reason for these sort of generalized attacks on the company, the calls to boycott and so on that have been trending on Twitter. I would agree, though, that perhaps Amazon should have been a little more scrupulous. But it's not them themselves that make the T-shirts. It seems to me that they've noticed these items are being sold on their platform. They've listened to people who are rightly bereaved by that, and they've made the decision to remove them, most likely out of fears for their brand reputation, but also probably for a feeling of moral obligation to do so. So that really should just be the end of the story.
Yeah, and maybe it will be. I mean, on the moral obligation point, it takes a while for a moral obligation to clarify, doesn't it? And this is a sort of international clarification. So, for instance, the Czech police have made it illegal for people to display the Z letter. They say it's just as illegal as brandishing the swastika.
Yeah, I think it's impossible for retailers, every business in the world, to immediately get to grips with these kind of, with the way that culture changes, with the way our expectations change, with the way symbols change in their meanings, and to understand immediately what products they should be looking for and scanning through. Take the example of Amazon. They sell tens of millions of items. They change daily. It can't realistically be expected to screen every product. It's probably more difficult than monitoring Facebook for harmful or illegal content, as they call it. So when attention is drawn to a specific item like this, like these T-shirts, Amazon can then remove them. But in terms of the sort of social media hysteria, we see this so much. We see the immediate calls to boycott companies. And I think it's got quite problematic in the current situation with Russia's assault on Ukraine. I have seen elements of Russophobia. We've seen, the likes of Anna Netrebko being ousted essentially from the Met Opera in New York. We've seen other classical music institutions try to dismiss Russian music for one reason or another. It seems that businesses feel such pressure to jump on bandwagons that they make these very ill-advised decisions, in my view, and they often they can potentially be counterproductive because Russians may be watching this, ordinary Russians, and thinking that the West is indeed out to get us, as Putin might tell them.
Emily Carver, good to talk to you. Thanks for your time. Sarah Elliott's alongside me to reflect on the letter Z. It's not even in the Cyrillic alphabet, is it? It's from the Latin,
right.
Our Latin alphabet. But it's been used as a symbol on Russian armoured vehicles as a form of identification. It was worn by a Russian gymnast who had his Russian flag removed by the authorities and said you can't display it, so he put a Z on it instead. The speed with which this stuff's happening is extraordinary.
Well, he was standing next to a Ukrainian, too, on the medal stand. But you also have to wonder how much agency he has as an individual. So we can't hold it against the gymnast in this climate. But also I find it really funny because it's Z for Zelensky. Like, are they, is that a sign like we're out to get you, it's all about focusing on Zelensky. But Yeah, I mean, I think most people will choose not to wear a Z because of this and just let the marketplace and social pressure ease it off these platforms.
I'm conscious we may at any point go listen to what Liz Truss has got to say in America. Just help me, Sarah. I forget who it was now that was sitting in your chair late last week, but I was putting the point about where the line is for free expression. I'd be uncomfortable with somebody, who'd come in sitting where you are now with a Z on them. I would be beyond the pale. But in Australia last week, there were demonstrations, pro-Russian demonstrations in a big Australian city, pro-Putin demonstrations. Is that okay?
You know what? If you have the right to protest, the right to speak, yes. I say, go, you have that right. You have that individual right, and I will defend your right to say something that I find offensive.
That's really clear. Sarah, for now, thanks very much.